So I just wanted to thank you immensely. In our trips, you saw Hotel India, and I've been very passionate about this brand. And I have to give it to Suma that she's given me real lessons of how to run hospitality magazine. And truly, when Hotel India became #1, I really owe to Suma. I've been eating ahead, understanding the whole workflow as to how hospitality works. So, Suma, you've been very special. Thank you very much for making this evening even more special by coming.
We have a special presentation by Mahika Sisodiya, Head Social Impact Lodha. Mahika studied at the London School of Economics and worked in the development sector for more than a decade across the globe. Her expertise is in conceptualizing and implementing large social impact programs. At Lodha, she spearheads Unnati with a vision to bring more women into the formal workforce and the Lodha Genius Program to nurture the brightest young minds in India.
Thank you so much. Thank you for organizing such a wonderful event. And thank you to all the women. I've been hearing inspiring stories since I entered, and so especially yours. I think we're going to go back really inspired. I'm here to very quickly talk about one of our flagship programs called Lodha Unnati, and really encourage all of you to be part of this larger movement that we are starting, and honestly all companies, everybody is doing right now. So the vision of Lodha Unnati is to advance India's social and economic development by enabling women to obtain formal employment and regular monthly salaries. You might already know that only 37% of the women are in the formal workforce in India, and that's a really low number, especially when you compare it to other countries. We are lower than countries like Yemen and Bangladesh. And this comes at a huge cost to us, both socially and economically. India could lose up to $6 trillion of GDP if we don't involve the women in the formal workforce. Apart from that, I think we already know that when you empower a woman, you empower the community that she's in, the family that she is in. You don't just empower one person. So there are huge drawbacks to not having women in the workforce. And since we are all in the construction sector, which is, as Suma said, the second largest employer, and we contribute 18% to the GDP, it is more of our responsibility to showcase that women can be part of this workforce. And I think if construction shows it, then every industry can show it, right? So what does Lodha Unnati do? We have initiatives at 3 levels. One is at the community level, which is where we started. We have an Unnati Skill Development Center located in Palava, where we really work all across. And through that center, we skill women, we mentor women, and we also engage with families to enable women to join and sustain in the workforce. So, the output that we measure is not just a woman getting a job offer or joining a job, but also staying in the job. And typically, the first couple of years are quite challenging, and that's when women really doubt whether they should stay in the workforce or not, and we help them through that journey. Then we champion Unnati within Lodha, realizing that we are one of the biggest real estate companies, and we have a large workforce, and across all departments, sorry, I missed changing this slide. This is the skill center. We champion Unnati within Lodha as well across all departments, both in construction and non-construction roles. We have an all-female construction management team, and we have one of the representatives here who's going to come right after me, and they're managing, like, right from conceptualization to execution. Everything is going to be done by women. We have Unnati champions across Lodha departments, again in construction and non-construction, and the idea is to really champion the growth of women within the organization. And finally, the Unnati, our Lodha associates engage with the Skill Development Center beneficiaries, and they mentor them and coach them so that they can stay in the workforce. And finally, I think the most important thing, the reason why we're here, is that we've launched the Women in Construction Network. And this network is a platform for all of you, both men and women, men who are champions of women coming into the construction workforce, and women, of course. And what we'll do through this network is that we have a series of events, and which will include curated networking. There will be continuous professional development. Like, again, Suma mentioned, confidence is sometimes a big issue, and we also see that, across, because these are difficult spaces to work in. You're dealing with a lot of men on the other side, and sometimes it can just kind of take you back, and we really want to encourage you to join this, because you're not alone. There are a lot of women out there, and I think there aren't enough platforms for all of you all to come and engage and really grow. And finally, I think we want to use this platform and have you all champion equitable workspaces, right? And I think nothing can champion it better than action, and this is what we will encourage in the network. Can I request for the AV to play? Thank you. So this is a QR code, and I'd request all of you to just lift your phones up, scan this, and join the network. We will get in touch with you with all the events that are happening, and I would really encourage you to spread the message and tell all other women colleagues or other people that you've studied with and worked with to join this network. I'd like to call upon Arnavi on stage, who's representing the all-women construction team that we've got at Lodha, and she, among all the other women, are a huge inspiration for starting this network. So she's going to quickly talk about her experience.
Good evening, everyone. It's my honor to be here representing Lodha in front of you all and sharing my journey in this construction world. By the way, my name is Arnavi Garvi, and I'm an architect working in Lodha as a part of construction management team. Reflecting on my journey in construction industry, I have experienced a significant change since I took my first step on construction site. Back in 2020, while I was transforming from design into construction management department within Lodha, I was one of just 3 females on site. But today I'm proud to say that the number from 3 has grown to 15. Today we have 15 females from all different expert departments like planning, execution, MEP, architecture, interior, all coming together, forming an all-women team where we will be executing one of its kind residential project at Lodha, where from start to design till handover will be done by an all-women team. Thank you. Our progress signifies more than just a number. It is also reflecting the shift that we are taking towards equal representation and equal opportunities to all. The construction industry, as we know, is very dynamic, fast-paced, and it's need a lot of energy. I have also learned that in my journey that adaptability, perseverance to navigate through different challenges which we face on construction sites are the skills which were instrumental in my journey. I also feel proud and honored to be here to inspire many more females like me who can join this change and be a part of this revolutionary. Looking into the future, I believe that we all women who are already dedicated towards it need to be continuing with our dedication in breaking barriers and our commitments towards the change to build a workplace where everyone has an equal opportunity to grow irrespective of their gender. Together, we believe we can build a brighter and more inclusive future for all. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Arnavi, and I hope that has left you all inspired to join the network. And really, this is not for this is not just for women. This is for our nation that we need to take this step, and we all need to take it together. So yeah, I look forward to seeing all of you at the events that follow, and I hope next year this event is also much bigger with many more women coming in. Thank you so much.
I would now like to invite Ashish Kapoor, Director for Strategic Accounts Asia, Oceania and Americas, SHUCO, to felicitate Mahika.
I'd like to invite my colleague Jyoti on stage, please. She's now have to do the felicitation.
Thank you, Ashish. Thank you, Mahika. We now come to our first panel discussion for the evening, mentorship and women's empowerment at the workplace. Our moderator for the evening is Hina Kamra, Managing Director, Neo Wealth Management. Hina has rich experience in the banking and financial services sector. She has worked with Edelweiss Alternate Asset Managers, Kotak Mahindra Bank, IDBI Bank, PNB Gills, and she holds a degree in management from Columbia Business School, New York, a PhD BM Finance and Marketing from the Institute of Management Technology, Gaza. Hina, can I have you on stage, please? Joining us panelists is Gauri Tanle, Chief Financial Officer, Ashwin Seth Group. With a career spanning over 27 years, she has demonstrated expertise in finance, corporate functions, and strategic financial management. Before this, she was the Surat Estate Group, Bhairav Group, Basar Group of Companies, Prabhat Group of Companies, and SL. Gauri is a student of commerce from Mumbai University. He is also a cost accountant and has an MBA in finance from Jamnabar Bajaj Banking Institute. Gauri on stage, please. Ishita Bhattacharya, DGM and Digital Marketing Lead, NAD Corporate, Tata Realty and Infrastructure. Ishita Bhattacharya is a seasoned real estate marketing professional with expertise in digital brand and strategic marketing. She takes brands and digital data housing, and highly passionate about marketing. Megha Goel, Chief Human Resources Officer, Godrej Properties. Megha joined Godrej in 2014 and has worked across different group companies. She moved to Godrej Properties in 2020 to lead HR business partnering and organization effectiveness. Prior to joining Godrej, Megha worked with JP Morgan, Britannia, and AkzoNobel Coatings. She has a bachelor's in technology chemical from Institute of Chemical Technology and an MBA in Human Resources from Symbiosis Center for Management and Human Resource Development, Pune. Sanobar Garda, Senior Director, Savills. Sanobar joined Savills in 2017 with Commercial Advisory and Transactions Vertical and today co-leads the service line team in Mumbai. Sanobar has office consulting and transaction background of nearly 12 years in the real estate sector. In a real estate brokerage career, Sanobar has specialized in corporate leasing and sales. Before that, she worked with Squares and Colliers International in their office transactions. Meena, the stage is all yours.
Good evening, everybody. It's really nice to be here. And, the two discussions by Suma and, of course, Lodha Unnati, they were both, I think, eye-openers for me. I truly agree with Soma that self-belief is very, very important for all of us, whether we are men or women. I mean, it really doesn't matter what people think about us or what gender stereotypes are. If we're confident about ourselves, we can just do it. And the second thing is that men and women are not competing with each other, they complement each other, whether we're talking about professional lives or friendships or at home. What Lodha Unnati is doing, again, was an eye-opener. I didn't know that in this truly male-dominated bastion of the construction industry, they're doing such a great job. So with that, I think I would just like to start off our panel discussion and with this esteemed panel, which has a lot of trailblazing women. I mean, we did a small catch-up just before this, so we got to know each other and some things that probably our profiles don't do us justice on. I think that all of us belong to different decades. We have 35-year-olds, we have 45-year-olds, and we have 55-year-olds. So we are actually 3 or 4 generations that are represented across over here. Also, I think a lot of attitudes may have changed across the generations over the last 3 decades. We'll try and cover that in our panel discussion. And again, if I talk about Gauri, I've not come across women CFOs in finance. I was on the lending side in real estate. And I think she's the only CFO I've come across. Probably there may be 3, 4 more in the country. With so many developers, so many real estate companies, just one. Imagine. So a true trailblazer. Then we have Ishita, a young mom, again another trailblazer and a showstopper, who's managing a work-life balance. And she'll tell us more about her journey and what she thinks are her challenges. Then, of course, Medha. From the HR world, she can give us a unique perspective because she would have had a bird's eye view of everything. And Sanobar, who is actually worked overseas, she's worked in India. She has been on the client-facing side. She has a work-life, personal life balance to talk about. But without any much ado, let me just throw open the discussion. My first question would be, all of you, how would you define women empowerment? We keep hearing this word all the time. Modi साहब बोल रहे होते हैं, Trump ने नहीं बोला है, but yeah, what is your definition, ladies? Ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome and very good evening to all of you. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak and be part of this panel, empowerment. Before having the word women empowerment, let's understand empowerment, which is a very, very profound word. It is all about not giving an opportunity to a woman in this corporate world. I have been lucky to work with most of my men superior bosses who have been men across, and lucky enough to work in a space where I've been empowered to step up this ladder. Empowerment is nothing but it's a profound word which entails growth trajectory for a woman. For me.
Thank you, God. Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome. And I'm really privileged to be the part of this panel. This is a very interesting question, and I have been going through, we just had a discussion before we came to this panel, and we were discussing what is actually women empowerment or the word empowerment mean. It is what Suma ma'am told just back, like self-confidence, believing in yourself. Like you have the power, you please go ahead and earn what you are supposed to. Do not flash that card that I am the fairest sex. Do not flash that I need that reservation. But your skill, your work will speak for you. And another thing, like as a woman, you should always accept that we were just discussing, Sanover, that we should accept our challenges. Like, yes, we have these challenges, but these challenges are not to dim our light, but it will help us brighten our life. Accept the challenges and look forward. So be confident about yourself. This is how I would define the word women empowerment or empowerment.
Hello, hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and to be speaking on this subject, deeply and passionately connected to this subject. So this is a question that I have a very different thought on, and I would say the word power and empower. What does it stand for? It doesn't stand for power over, right? Which means ye de diya, mere ko ye opportunity mil gayi. I feel it stands for power with, right? So empowerment means when we are able to build a place where there is an equal opportunity. There is a power of choice where a woman can decide whether she wants to come and attend an event like this. And I'm kudos to that woman who's left her 4-year-old baby to come and attend this event. She has been given the power. She has the power with her partner at home, where there is an equal sharing of responsibility, then she comes here, right? So that is power with. And I would also correct myself when I said that she has been given that power. No, it is a power that is an equal relationship that brings in, right? So similarly in a career, no one is going to give you a policy. No one should be giving you a job. It is an equal opportunity for you to do that role as well, right? So the word of empowerment has to change from having a power over, where someone has the right to give you something, to actually have a power with, where we are equal contributors to creating everything, right from babies to families to homes and the economy. So that's what empowerment stands for me. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your perspectives. Well said, Megha. I completely agree with you. So for me, before diving into what women empowerment is, I'll probably throw more light on the importance of this terminology. So as for the 2030 agenda, they've identified women empowerment and gender equality as one of the key sustainable development goals. So that is what women empowerment is, and that is how important women empowerment is to all of us.
Thank you so much. We've talked about a little in different words, I might paraphrase of course. creating a more inclusive world. We keep talking about gender diversity, inclusion, etc., DEI. Now, would really like to understand from all of you, you will have some insights, some experiences that you might want to share from the 10 years you spent working, 20 years, and the 30 years you spent working. I would like to share what is empowering. Empowering is not about empowerment of a single woman. It is empowerment of a society. It's a culture which we have established in the corporate world. I'll give a very rare example, which I'm lucky to have it. I have a 3.5 years old baby, and having being so occupied in the professional trajectory, I have been very supportive by my earlier boss, men, who had established a flexi work for me. Because he knew when he had engaged me, recruited me, I was one of the 7 men who were in the row. And the only reason I was on the roll is I had gone through all the odds. And she ensured me that there is sufficient cushion, sufficient time for me to settle down during that period is something which I would like to share my experience with you all. Quote unquote, I would not like to name the company and my boss, but it's been honor and pleasure to share this gratitude of experience which he had offered me an opportunity for me that I could deliver, and that company is today listed in the market. And I had come with an idea.
So I have been very lucky or privileged to be the part of Tata company since almost 7 years now. And when it comes about inclusivity and gender equality, I think my organization always have shown me the path that sky is your limit, or we are always there to support you. And the policies, the processes, the people, the way they support you and they are with you and they tell you move ahead. It is that support or confidence which is there. And today I hear from her, even organizations show gender inclusivity by giving the supportive policy. Majorly what women speak of today is about flexibility in work. So that is, I think, which has come post-COVID. And this work flexibility has given a lot of empowerment to women and confidence that they can strive further and grow in their career and be the part of the senior management and not fall off during the career journey. Once you become a mother, yes, it's difficult to continue with the same intensity. You do take a step back when you become a mother because it's difficult to concentrate and give your 100% in both the job. You have to take a step back, but once you have a supportive organization, supportive policies, supportive family, which Sanobar spoke about, like you supporting family members who take care of your child when you are here attending this panel discussion. These are all things which shows that we are moving ahead towards an inclusive community, inclusive workforce.
I would like to interrupt here. I think all of us are not being candid. So while we're talking about the good things, to come to this, there would have been lots of challenges also that we've faced. I think in this small gathering here, we should share some of those also. It would be nice because those are the practical challenges. There are the good parts and there are the challenges, and how we overcome those challenges because it's a fact of life.
Thank you for the nudge. So, I have the advantage or the disadvantage of starting my career in the early 2000s, where, so I'm a chemical engineer, and there were very few people, women in the batch as usual. When you were sitting for campus placements, most organizations didn't want to hire women. They would do an interview, but finally we would get to know, but they were actually not looking for women because, women cannot really work in a chemical industry. How have you seen a woman actually going and working in a refinery out there? I'm talking about these organizations being in cities like Delhi, Gurgaon, and in fact in Mumbai as well, right? Listed organizations, pretty big names, then and even now. I interned with an organization in Mumbai which actually didn't have a women's washroom in their 7-story plant, and the plant was in Bhandup, right? So if you had to use the washroom, you had to come down 7 floors, go to the administrative block where there was a executive assistant, and she used to use one washroom. So that was where, that is the time that we started our careers, right? From there, if I have to talk only about Mumbai, at least we have come to a place where some of these basic hygiene is taken care of. So thank you, and thank God for those 20 years of transition that we have made. But is it really true that it's happening all across? I have been with Godrej Agrovet, where I've traveled across multiple locations, locations like Meerut, which is not really such a small city, but it's very difficult to find a decent hotel for a woman to stay, a decent, washroom for a woman to use if you're doing a market, right? So are we really equal still at this point of time? And, the women who came in with their inspiring stories before that also highlighted it there. If I look back to these 25 years almost of, being in the workforce in some way or the other, I feel that we have covered some ground, but there is a long way to go. And some of us who have kind of still ensured that we remained in the workforce and now are at certain positions of power, I think all of us need to play that leadership role to pass it forward. We really need to understand how we, in our own capacities, can make changes which actually make life better, at least the hygiene part of it, right? We're doing a lot of work at Godrej Properties in LGBTQ, and it's a relatively new concept. And I keep saying this, that my only attempt is that it has taken us 200 years and counting for to bring women to a certain stage. I just hope we reach there much faster for the community, the LGBT community, right? So I think it's been a long journey. It's been a difficult journey. Thankful to each one of us who have remained on this journey, and just urge the leader in us to pass it on and pass it forward. So that will be my. I absolutely agree. I think it's very important to pass on the baton. And thanks, Ina. I'm going to share something that we spoke over coffee some time back. So this was when I was back from abroad, and my very first interview in Mumbai. I was interviewing with a developer, and when I joined them, I asked, of course, they went through my credentials and everything, but my very first day into work, and I said, okay, so what are my deliverables? What is my target? What is the number I'm looking at? I'm very eager to punch that number. Well, by how much time do I have to, all those things? And they were like, chill, that's all right. We look into all that. And, 2 days passed, 3 days passed, a week into it. And I was speaking to one of the senior colleagues. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. You're in an eye candy role. And at that point in time, I didn't know what an eye candy role was. And eventually when I did find out, of course, that is, I knew I'm not with the right organization, because the mindset is wrong. Because women, especially in this industry, I know this happens in a lot of other industries, but we are not eye candies. We're there to make a difference. We're there to do business. We're there to punch those numbers, to meet our targets, and we're there to do the job.
So it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And in fact, while I'm a moderator, I think I'd like to share some of my experiences also. While I remain largely in finance, but it has been across different kinds of organizations and platforms, so public sector, private sector, fund, NBFC, bank, blah, blah, blah. And believe you me, there are certain stereotypes that get thrown at us, which are common. For instance, a very unique one, which when I was on the lending side for 12 years is, you go for a meeting and you are the decision maker and you'll have a young chappie sitting with you to assist you. But when you're talking to your borrower, he looks at the boy. And you're wondering why. You are the decision maker, right? You're giving all the right vibes. When you're asking for your money back, they can take it from a guy, but if a woman asks the money back, it's wrong. This is one such instance. Then also, I always come across most women, again, across industries, have this. And the voiced, as we talk informally, the problem of ageism. So either a woman is too young or she's too old. I guess what we're all saying is that we've all encountered it across decades, and Ishita is the youngest among us. So it would be nice to see have things, of course, Neeta mentioned that they have changed, but yeah, there is lots more that needs to change. It's not that we're tripping or anything. We like working with men. I think men and women complement each other.
I would just like to add one incident which I got reminded after Sarovar and you both spoke. So I once went to ask for a role which was much larger than what I was doing. And I was told that, we're looking for someone who's very senior and we want a very mature person to do this role, etc. So I looked at the person and I said, I work very hard to look the way I do. And it doesn't talk about my ability to perform the role.
In fact, Veda, you were not there earlier, but this is exactly the discussion that we also had. We feel that we need to look our age. And when we get together with batchmates, incidentally, while women are working harder to look younger, guys didn't let themselves go. I mean, we work hard, like you said, to look the way we do. So, thank you so much.
So all of you go out there and ask for that job.
Ladies, what do you think is mentorship? And when I went on Wikipedia, there were different types of mentorships that existed. Do you think it's useful? What form should it take? How should organizations go about it? Is it viable for them or is it just a waste of money?
Mentorship is something I would like to encapsulate with one of the example. Recently at a current organization where we are giving a lot of emphasis to training and development of women workforce. Again, I would not like to advertise my company out here, but at the same time, at Ashwin Sheth Group, we are increasing the women workforce, and I'm happy to announce that we are 12 to 13% of the workforce at Ashwin Sheth Group, which contributes to about 60 to 70 female employees at the head office. I'm leaving apart all the site works, but these mentorships has come across to various women in various roles, and we have delivered far more better results by having a buddy introduced in the organization. What is a buddy play? Buddy play is nothing but you have a male counterpart with a female counterpart working together and ensuring that they are encouraged, they are motivated, they're secure in the social economic world. So mentoring is something all about how you create the culture within the organization, in the society, in the family. Like Suma mentioned about, it all starts from the family. And so is someone from the audience talked about. It all starts from the family and ends in the corporate world in the organization. So for me, mentorship is all about creating a culture in the organization where you work, where you spend more than what you spend in the family. That's right. Thank you.
So according to me, who doesn't need a mentor? Like every one of us has one mentor in their life to build your career. Every one of us here consider at least one single person in their life, or maybe two people in your life as your mentor, whom you go back to. Without a mentor today, I don't think a fresh college graduate would be sitting here having the panel discussion, grown up in my career. So mentorship is a kind of thing like it comes eventually in your life. It is not like you choose your own mentor. It is obviously a culture which is developed in an organization, but as an individual, I think you should choose your own mentor. That this mentor or your sponsor is a kind of it is either defined as a mentor or a sponsor who helps you grow, who gives you wings, who introduces you to people, who sponsors you at every platform in the organization, who speaks good about you is a kind of your sponsor, and a mentor is like someone who is like whom you always approach to, whom you take as your leader or you look up to. So without a mentor, I think none of us can grow, and we are supposed to choose our own mentor to give us wings.
I have a question. You are from the world of HR. What are the different types of mentorships? Because as I was coming for this panel discussion, I went through Wikipedia and I just fed in mentorship. And it talked about reverse mentoring, it talked about group mentoring, one-on-one mentoring, and industry-specific mentoring, and so on and so forth. Are there any data points to suggest that mentoring actually adds to profitability of the companies? While it may be good from an ESG perspective, but what I always wonder actually is while a Blackstone and a BlackRock, because their LPs are all the sovereign funds and so on and so forth, they're pushing all the corporates towards DEI and ESG. Do companies actually end up making money? And I'm not talking just real estate, I'm saying across the sectors. Is it viable for them? Is it profitable for them?
Oh, absolutely. So a very, very pertinent question. And I really pick up from where Ishita left. Every one of us needs a mentor. I'm in the world of HR and I work with extremely senior leaders of very reputed and respected names that we all talk about, and they also have grown through a mentor, right? So now the models that you're talking about, reverse mentoring or group mentoring, etc. These are just different forms of it. But what essentially is mentoring trying to do? Mentoring is trying to kind of synthesize the years of experience of the mentor through reflections and give some support to the mentee to kind of go out there and experience the world in a very different way. So in a way, we're trying to give a capsule to the person, almost a time capsule, to say that, okay, I think this could work in this way. This is how I did it. So these are two ideas for you to go out there and help. Whom wouldn't it help, right? And to talk about, so while there is no data defined to put mentorship towards a business growth journey or not, the simple thing that each of our senior leaders, the MPs, the chairmen of organizations, whether a male or a female, actually operate with different mentors through their life. And as you would go through their journeys, they have always been there, which means that people have, these mentors have contributed to their growth. And if their growth is synonymous with the growth of the economy or their organizations, that is the business case for it itself. If I come back personally to how I have gained from mentors. There was a mentor, and I have had the opportunity of having various mentors, personal, professional, reverse mentoring. Sometimes your juniors really come up and tell you a lot of things. So I have been really, really grateful and out there. But I had a mentor who, for the first time when I had passed out of college, kind of guided me on how I should demand for my compensation, right? It was extremely difficult for women to go out there and speak. And I would say that probably that was, those very few occasions that I have also spoken, but it really needed a mentor out there to make me realize that probably what I'm getting is not worth what I bring onto the table. And I should go out there and have a conversation. He even guided me on how to have that conversation. Right? There was a mentor who, when I had my first baby and I was thinking about going back to work and how do I operate, told me how through his or her experience had seen women coming back to work, what are the things that would work, how do I set up my, home and place, and how do I go out there. There was a mentor who also told me that, in the first few years, what should I expect after coming back from a maternity break? What I shouldn't expect, or sometimes even bringing in the right expectations, right? A lot of things. I think having a mentor in your life is almost a boon. That's the best thing you can ask for. And I will not say even only from a career perspective, I will even say how do you manage your own personal life, even from parenting perspective, right? So it's just capsules of advice coming your way, which are taking you out there and helping you time travel through the rich reflections and experience of someone else. So please go for it.
I think that was really well put. Capsules of advice are always welcome from anyone, for all of us, whether men or women. So, your thoughts, please.
I believe mentoring as a word is usually confused with coaching or training. And, in an organization or in a professional fabric, we emphasize a lot on training and development for women. Coaching, you establish or you identify a skill gap, and then you look at how you're bridging the skill gap. So I truly believe that mentoring is beyond your professional guidance. And if it's not, it must be, because mentoring is, instilling confidence, fostering confidence, and not just navigating, but maneuvering through the challenges of a professional fabric. So I think that's what mentoring is, truly.
A lot of people realize our moms are our first mentors.
Yeah, it could be moms, it could be dads. Yeah, it could be friends. And yeah, we could have different mentors at, different points of time in our lives. We won't talk about work-life challenges. Let's add a little spice. Tell us some of the negative instances that you face. Sanoper has mentioned one, but it would be nice to understand. And what did she do about it? In this case, she mentioned that she decided to move on. But what if she decided to stay? Then what should she have done? It's a thought process, but it would be nice to have the other side also.
That was definitely a decade back, and I was sobered down from there, I tell you. So I don't know what I'd be doing then. I would definitely give them a piece of my mind. But today, I mean, having, as I said, sobered down. See, I think it is about making people aware. It is about spreading the message. It is about being cognizant of the fact. It is about being empathetic towards situations. To be honest, Hina, maybe at that point in time, I didn't have the guts to go and look for who the owner or the promoter of that business was and give him a piece of my mind. But yes, today I could have, if I think back, I could have spoken to the HR or the promoter level or the senior management and discussed with them as to give me a chance to prove myself as as a revenue contributor to the company, and I could do wonders. Believe me, I could do wonders.
So this is excellent. She's talking about 2000, I guess, 8 to 10, right?
Yeah, this is about 2009 to 10.
Yeah, so
Just
I don't think we took HR that seriously, and these were not open discussions. So that's a change that has happened today. That everyone knows that they can go to HR.
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
It's all about, as I said, it's all about being aware of your rights, your choices, your options. Because, if you're not aware of that, there's hardly anything that you can do. Like they say, you have to help yourself and then God helps you.
excellent.
Very, very well said, and I'll just add on to that. So, see, again, the concept of empowerment comes here, right? So, a lot of times, and I have been guilty of that. I have fainted once because I was extremely scared of my boss, and I made an error which was a fairly large error, and I was just so scared, right? I have left an organization once because I was just not able to deal with a difficult manager whom I felt was, okay, fine. And a lot of other people were also not able to, right? So what are we doing in these things? And I have a record of working for some of the best brands, right? What is really happening here is that we have given the power to someone senior over us, right? Those brands are standing for the most progressive practices out there. Right, so I work for AkzoNobel, which is a Scandinavian organization, talks about the best practices in the world, Britannia, JP Morgan, and now Godrej, right? So the most progressive organizations, but it is a few people in the organization, a few managers in the organization which make life difficult for us. And what do? We just assume that they have so much more power over us, and we have no power there. I would urge, and I have learned over a period of time, and trust me, some of these things happen even today. She shared about how people are not willing to look at a woman and speak. I even today, when I am the CHRO of a pretty large listed organization, I'm in meetings where people are actually not talking to me, but are talking otherwise, right? So you have to stand up for yourself. You have to, and I have seen this, that when you stand up for yourself and you actually go up to that person and make the person realize what the person did, it brings a change, right? So don't assume that someone else has more power over you. You have equal power in that equation, right? Don't misuse your power as well, but speak up for the right thing. That's what I learned through my life journey.
That was amazing.
I have a different kind of, I see things in a positive light, 10 years before and 10 years now. I think like the challenges which they face might not be the challenges which I face because I belong to a younger generation. The awareness what they are speaking of was already spread when I came into this field. I always got a kind of maybe not very friendly environment, but people were aware. Like women are here, equality. But I'll tell you an example which obviously like of the year 2013-15 when it was an internship experience of mine, which a foreign company like a Japanese company had come in a chemical industry. I am a chemistry graduate. So they clearly told that we do not want females like women to sit for this interview of this internship. I went and approached my professors. I told, at least give me a chance. Or there were only 3 or 4 women in a batch. Let us sit for the interview just for experience. Let them not take us. I'm fine with it. Just give us a chance. So somehow the company agreed, the professor agreed. Like maybe they thought, let them sit first experience in life. We sat in that interview, and at the end of the day, like I was shortlisted. Like it was a surprise. Like they came with a mindset that they do not want to hire women in the internship role eventually. But the only thing, obviously, they had a mindset. The only thing which happened, I was not sent to Japan for an internship. A man was sent there, a guy from my batch. I had to do internship in Nimrana in Rajasthan in one of the factory in India. But yes, I was able to build break some barrier in their mind that I am also capable. I can go to Nimrana. I can go to the factory. I can do internship. So some progress, but I think in last 2013 to now in 2024, lot of progress have happened due to awareness, definitely.
I think, in addition to what my colleague mentioned about is you give the power, misuse of power. I think women has the most debatable power. It is up to us when we hand over those powers to our bosses, to our superiors, in our personal life also. It is up to us, the supernatural power which we are into. I'll give you fairly a share example to us, all of us. In 2003, when I was doing my MBA from Jamnalal Bajaj, I was the only third girl in that institute. MBA finance and numbers and girls don't match to each other. And this was told to me after being a qualified cost accountant, wherein I have already slogged myself for 3 years in internship. So we being in the auditor's world, we deal with numbers. And a very recent example in 2013 when I was told males only, wherein I was the second runner-up in the interview. I made it a point that I asked him the reasons to say no to me, and I made sure that the boss, the promoter actually, had to mention that we don't hire females. And he ended me calling up after 6 months and hired me. So the message I wanted to convey here is it is up to us, the women's who have the power, whether I want to keep it with myself or to hand over to someone else. So in this dynamic world, women has to find its own space. I think she's already gone through several dynamics of life, wherein if she wants, she can achieve it. Thank you so much, Bonnie. Okay, and let me come to the key, the main point. We don't see globally, what to say of India, of course, too many women in the C-suite. These things are improving, but how do we make sure that the boardroom becomes more inclusive? Yes, guidelines have changed. A few years back, it is mandatory to have one female director on the board, but that's okay. I mean, how do we ensure that more women remain in the workforce? Typically, across industries, we find that between 5 to 15 years of work ex, a lot of women go out of the workforce. Meena, I think this question is something that you would be more sure.
Sure. So thank you. So it's a very, very pertinent thought, and I was speaking to Aravali, I think, where we were talking about how Lodha is working to create an all-women construction site. It's impossible that we will be able to create more women board members if you're not working through the complete hierarchy. It's been a misconception that women are only suited to do these jobs. And trust me, I have also been brought up in certain ways to say that this job is particularly fine for a woman, right? You will not get a woman P&L leader if a woman has not gone out there and dirtied her hands in learning the ground realities of sales, construction, and execution. So firstly, we need to encourage more and more women to come into the line of the business. Right, rather than doing those side support roles in even HR or a lot of other functions like marketing, etc., billing, right? We need to bring them to the forefront. The second thing is we really need to support. It is a truth that a woman has to bear a child. It is a truth that her body goes through changes. There is a change that an organization and the woman both need to go through. I've had women in the team who have even lost their confidence after they come back from a maternity leave. That is a crucial moment when you lose a woman from the workforce. How are you able to support that woman at that point of time? And a lot of times you don't have to do a lot of policy work, a lot of compensation, etc. You actually just have to offer understanding and support, right? The woman has to understand that these are some years or some period of time that I will need a lot more balance. But if I bring in this balance, like, it was shared in the beginning of the place where we said that you just keep your leg on the pedal, you shared it, right? It is important that we enable women to do that. And women, it's just a matter of probably 1.5 years when women need more of it. And that is when how as an organization, as a team, as an HR function, we are able to enable that and take it forward. The third thing is, how are we making better managers and better team members? It is a proven fact, and we have done our research right now also on Godrej Properties, where women are not leaving so much because of the hard factors of job, career, compensation, etc. They're actually leaving because of the softer factors of not feeling respected at the workplace. The things that all of us kind of spoke about, where people are not talking to us, someone is thinking that we are just for the beauty part of it, etc. Right? These things are real and they happen. And we may be talking about great organizations, and I come from a great organization. I'm led by leaders like Nisaba Godrej, etc. But it's actually the manager out there. It's those team members out there who define the culture of the organization. How are we creating that culture and ensuring that every woman out there feels supported? And I can tell you and assure you one thing, in my experience, I have seen that when you create that culture, it not only helps the women, it actually helps the men as well. There are so many men who are feeling disrespected by the same manager, but are just going on because ye to chalta hai. Right? So I think it's in the whole ecosystem. We have to really work on the mass if we have to ensure that there is some change that is going to come on the top.
I'll just add on to one thing with what's in it for the corporation? Yeah, the large corporates, but there are a lot of small corporates also who are actually finding it viable. And I came across this very interesting experience by it's a case study actually. You should all go and look it up on the net of KPR Mills. It's a Coimbatore-based textile company where they actually educate their female employees and upskill them so they go and find better jobs in the industry. So they have actually educated almost 27,000 women. So what has actually happened is that because these women actually belong to his, they're the daughters, the wives, the sisters of his employees, it ensures continuity and less labor turnover during extreme times of stress. When even during COVID, everyone else was struggling, this particular corporate did not struggle. So there will be instances like that when even the smaller corporates have found it very, very viable to capitalize. And I would use the word capitalize and monetize, because end of the day, we're not talking about charity. What we are saying is that it is actually commercially viable for most business houses, small entrepreneurs, large business houses to have diverse teams which contribute to the profitability.
Can I add something? So, there are, obviously we all work for MNCs and very big corporates and Indian conglomerates. But there are companies that view women empowerment or gender equality as just a checklist in the ESG. And maybe that is also something that needs to change. It's not just a checklist. And coming back to a point where you were asking if this is profitable, I think it's the most inexpensive initiative. Honestly, you don't need anything, no frills, no fancies. It's just a change of mindset, fostering, confidence. As I said, it's about addressing resilience, endurance amongst women folk, and this doesn't cost.
Well, I think there's lots more to be discussed on this. This panel wasn't enough, but Jayashree's, I think, rung the bell, and we need to end this panel discussion. But thank you so much for your time. Thank you, ladies, for the nice discussion. Thank you.
Please take that as well. I would like to invite Ashish Kapoor and Preeti, facilitator, Unnati Skill Development Center, to felicitate the panel. Can we have a group photo? Neil? No, you're right, right. Thank you so much. Can we have a huge round of applause for this lovely panel? Thank you, each one of you. We now have an industry address by Vaishnavi Vajji, strategist, Hyva technocrat. Vaishnavi is a young woman leader in the construction technology sector dedicated to revolutionizing the industry through technological advancements. She currently serves as a strategist at Hyva Technocrat, a leading SAP Gold partner, specializing in EC and O sector implementations in India. Vaishnavi?
Good evening, ladies and more ladies, but also not forgetting the gentlemen here. Welcome you all. Good evening to all once again. So there's a lot of grace, intelligence, beauty, and hard work and empowerment in this one room. So ladies, I would like to give yourselves a big round of applause. Okay. So recently, we have seen women in all the walks of life, right from our President, Honorable Draupadi Murmu, to PV Sindhu in sports, and as I stand here in construction industry as well. However, so standing here, we would like to know how we have moved from pixels to progress, and how women are redefining the construction industries through digital transformation. No worries. So talking about construction, it has been one of the oldest professions known to mankind. Right from the Mohenjo-daro construction, which is the largest settlement in the city, which is around 5,500 years back. Then we have had Ajanta and Ellora caves, which was built around 1,500 years back. Then we had our wonder, the Taj Mahal, which was built around 400 years back. And then the modern marvel of the world, the coastal road of Mumbai. So talking of this, we have noticed that construction industry is a little bit laggard when it comes to the usage of technology. And moreover, women in construction industry has been a myth. And as Suma ma'am had mentioned that only 2 to 3 women in a class of 60 people were there. So I would like to mention about a few ladies. I just talked about these aspects of constructions. Yeah, moreover, women have been very less in this industry. But I would like to mention some super women present in here, which were transformational leaders. So first we have Ms. Devki Khimji, who is the Managing Director at Al Turki Enterprise, Oman. She has single-handedly implemented SAP in the Sultanate of Oman and has improvised the productivity of 35,000 employees under her leadership. Then we have Ms. Kavita Shirvaikar, CFO and whole-time director of Patel Engineering. So she leads a 75-year-old company. So you can imagine what a 75-year-old organization would look like. Set processes, set mindset. And she, under her leadership, has brought about changes in this organization to digitalization. Then we have Hemlata D, the VP of Procurement, Enterprise. She was instrumental in implementing SAP for InvIT projects. Then we have Ms. Gauri Tanle, who is present here with us. She's the CFO of Ashwin Sen Group. She has been instrumental in driving the internal controls through digitalization of her organization. And these are the few more women who are present here as well. So you must be wondering, why were we talking about these specific women? So I'm very proud to tell you all that we acted as a catalyst with this women to bring about change in their organizations, and they were very instrumental in driving all the changes in their companies. So we are very proud of them. Now, when I say we as Haiba technocrats, who are we and what do we do? So we are the industry leaders, and we have been first in many of the aspects. We have been the #1 company to implement SAP in the construction industry. And Haiba, through its lineage of HCC, we have been the first customer in the construction industry for SAP and ERP. And then we were the first construction company to implement 5D beam for all the linear assets. We were the first to implement smart city solutions, and we were the first to implement SAP cloud implementations for the construction industry. And by the virtue of all these many firsts, we have the highest number of clients all across the country, right from the metropolitan cities to the tier 2 cities as well. And not only in India, but we are spread across globally, right through all the continents. And we have presence felt in Middle East, Europe, UK, Africa, and the US as well. So to mention few of our clients, right, starting from the infrastructure, we have esteemed clients like Tata Projects, Patel Engineering, IRB. To move ahead, we have clients in real estate where we have applied end-to-end implementations for Prestige Group, Salarpuria Satva, Puranix, and Lodha as well. And in government also, our presence with MSRDC, Mahavizaran have been felt very proudly. And globally, we are working with Al Turki, Steiner in Switzerland, and so on and so forth. Well, being here, it makes me proud to see a room full of women after a very long time. Thanks for organizing such an event. And I would like to say thank you for giving me this opportunity of speaking with you all. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Vaishnavi. We now come to our second panel discussion for the day and the last one. After that, we can enjoy our networking and cocktails. Staying accountable, embracing equity. I would like to call on stage our panelists. Devi Shankar, President, Industrial and Logistics, Data Center, Analog Capital. With her experience of 20 years, Devi has worked in the entire gamut of investments from private equity, investment banking, and structuring. She has worked with Ask Property Investment Advisors, JLL, Deloitte, and KPMG. Till date, Devi has transacted investment deals of rupees 1.9 billion. She holds an MBA honors from the Chicago Booth School of Business, Chicago, is a chartered finance and financial analyst and a chartered accountant. Architect Pallavi Madkari, business head Pune Runwal. She's a results-driven professional with over 28 years of experience in architectural design and interior design for retail, commercial, and residential. Taking over the business head for the entire Pune region at Runwal with a flagship project, Runwal the Central Park. Pooja Dattatreya, Senior Executive Director, Enterprise Project Management, APAC, TMT Sector Head and India Leader, CBRE. Prior to joining CBRE in Mumbai, Pooja worked in the US for 12 years with CBRE as well as other prominent architectural firms in New Jersey and Massachusetts. She's also a lead accredited professional with experience in designing and managing certified sustainable projects. Architect Jasleen Changani, co-founder and architect of CY Corp with more than 23 years of experience, bringing a soulful respite to the dry landscape of the current mainstream residential architecture is what she strives for in each project. Seema Joganputra, is she here? Yes. Director, Asher Group. Seema holds a Bachelor of Commerce from the Somaiya College of Science and Commerce with over 22.5 decades of experience in the real estate. She handles key operation, portfolio procurement, vendor management, HR and admin, and property management. She's closely associated with NSJ Charitable Medical Centers Hospital. I will be your moderator for the evening. Anyway, I'll start with them. Ladies, I'll begin with you. You have a work about for you. Can you tell us the role you play in your company and how you have overachieved?
So thank you, Jayashree. Always a pleasure to interact with you and to spend time with you. So overachieved is a very exaggerated word. But I can just give a little bit brief in terms of how my career has spanned. And one thing I can say, Jayashree, is that at least as a person, I'm a kind of person who does not believe in status quo. I've always tried to do something different. I've always tried to do something different, and I think that's really worked for me in terms of my growth. Just as an example, like I was in KPMG when I started off and I was doing advisory. I moved to investment banking, then I moved to private equity, then I came back to investment banking. I was in core real estate, then I moved to alternative real estate in warehousing, and then I also took up data centers. So I think it's if somebody is as ambitious and aspirational, I think everyone should be open to taking the leap of faith. When an opportunity comes, a lot of times as women, I feel we tend to self-doubt. We tend to feel that, can I do this? Maybe, this is beyond me. And we tend to take comfort in status quo, that, what we're doing is going fine. And we're a little scared of taking leaps of faith when these opportunities come. I think for me, that's been the biggest, when I look back in hindsight, everything felt very natural. But, when you're asking me this question and look back in hindsight, I think the amount of changes that I've done, although it's all been in real estate and, I would never want to give away that, industry. But I think it's important to have the courage to just move and do something different and question the status quo. I think that's important.
Pallavi? Women make the world go round. I will stop with celebration of women because we've heard a lot of trials and tribulations that women go through. So women make the world go round, and while we love to celebrate their achievements during Women's History Month in March, it is extra important to keep that support going every other day of the year too. How can this be done?
I think it's not only about a particular month, but across the entire year. Because it's about changing your attitude. It's not about doing something for just ticking it off in that particular month. It's about celebrating the fact that we are different in our own ways and having policies, having advocacy kind of forums and stuff like that, which will actually help to keep that thing going. It's no point of having spurts of, let's celebrate women and then kind of stop it because it's done. It doesn't have to be that way.
Thank you. Pooja, do you think that as women, we are held back by our own unspoken expectations of what it means to be a woman?
I think a lot of times we do this to ourselves in a way, like, and it stems from a very early age when we are kids. We are told to dress a certain way. What is the appropriate behavior? All of that. So I think a lot of it starts from the early age, and then later on we get pressured into in social settings that we should not speak up, we should not, so it kind of goes when you're going out in the world, it starts to step like that, and then we judge our own selves, we doubt our own beliefs, and therefore we do not end up doing what we really aspire to do. We are not authentic. So I feel like these are the things that hold us back. We do need to challenge ourselves. We do need to make sure that we do what we feel is good for us. And I'll give you an example. I actually, as you mentioned, I moved back after 12 years. And it was a new market for me. It was Indian construction, very different from US construction. So of course, my company took the leap of faith in me, and I moved in my current job to India. I had two young kids, 2 years and 6-year-old. So I knew nothing about the market. So obviously, my boss or maybe even my peers were suspecting that I will fail, perhaps, or have a little bit of doubt. But what I did was I took it as a challenge. I actually used to count how many meetings I did with my clients in a month. I used to actually keep a tally of that. I used to go on sites unabashed, really trying to learn whatever I could, talk to my peers, my teams, and really grasp as much as possible. Not only that, I took the men along with me in the journey, like my manager. I would actually do a 3-month review of myself with my manager. I would set it up and I would say, tell me, how am I doing? This is the goal that I've set for myself. How am I doing? What could I do better? So I think sometimes you have to hold yourself accountable, and then you have to take the men along, whether they are your managers or your team below, and also network. That's what I feel.
Nice. Seema, you work for a real estate company which has major projects happening in MMR. Do you think, I mean, you play a very significant role in your company. Do you think that, like, especially in Pooja, I'd like to ask you this question, that we are held back because of our unspoken expectations?
We are held back because we want to behave how people expect us to behave. So like if someone says कि बच्चा बीमार है and Ma is gone to work, तो कैसी माँ है ये? But then I think we know priorities, right? It's 100 and there's someone to take care of the kid and there's something important to attend to. So within that time we think, what will people say? What kind of a mother am I? That is usually what holds us back. But I guess at our levels we know our priorities. Like, ye karna hai, this is not right. So we weigh all those. But because we don't want to be judged in a certain manner, that's where we ourselves try to hold back ourselves. But I think now we are pretty good about it. Like if the father is taking care of the child, so we will still move out.
Jasleen, as an architect, tell us how the fraternity views, and I know this is not happening much, but views and treats women. Are they stereotyped?
And so just as context to the previous panel, in architectural industry and college, our class was about 70 to 80% women. It's actually 15-20% men. Yay. And in terms of the real world, I was lucky to come up in a protected environment. My mother-in-law was an architect. I interned with architect Linda Sumaya, who herself is, she literally wrote the book Women in Architecture. So the environment is very different. And till I actually began my own firm, did I actually encounter or even question whether there was stereotyping or whether there was a need to bring women to the forefront. I mean, we just were. We were just equals up until then. And I think the key factor there was the environment. The fact that women and men, by the way, around you did not differentiate between an architect, irrespective of gender, right? And when I had, for example, till date, this is 20 years later, right? I have suppliers come into my office, spend 1 hour giving me a presentation, and my husband's an architect, we run the firm together. So after a 1 hour presentation, the guy will go, but sir, unko milna tha bilkul, you know? And that's where I immediately strike that subject off the list right then and there, you know? So, that's one example of stereotype.
I hope none of the suppliers are yours.
Yes. Second type of stereotype. Hi, I'm Justine, architect Justine Chanani. And therefore, I'm talking about clients, builders, developers, I'm talking about suppliers, I'm talking about other consultants. Oh, acha, to aap interior design karti hain. Not that I have an issue with interior design, it's just that and you know, luckily women excel in that field. But I don't know what it is that I've reached a point where, hello, I'm architect Justine Chanani, and I don't do interior design. I do architecture as in residential architecture, and I build buildings. And you can see the expression of the guy's face, wherever that might be, change in seconds, because he's suddenly looking at you differently. And that's when you realize that even though 70% of women are graduating as architects, it's only the 20% men who are widely recognized.
Well, we are ready to answer this question as an architect yourself.
Absolutely. I think I have a little different perspective than Jasleen does. But to a certain extent also same. Okay, so I passed out in 96, and times then were very different from what they are now. And I think Jasleen, me, Pooja, we are all in a city where, comparatively the equality is much better. But at the same time, there are cities and there are places in this country where still there is a lot of stereotyping in terms of, thinking that maybe women can't do these jobs because probably, they kind of going to take care of the skin and whatnot. But it's not necessary. We've kind of, broken that stereotype and said, okay, fine, I'm there to do this. I can do this. I can be on the side and I can be in the sunlight and I can do just about everything. And I think that is something which has kind of paid me in the longer run. I think it's because of the resilience of wanting to be there and be an equal in every sense. That kind of helps you to bring that about. And I think slowly, gradually things are changing. Yes, I kind of, resonate with her thoughts of sometimes there are suppliers who are like, aur koi nahi hai kya? But when they know that, okay, you're going to make the decision, they kind of, relent and say, okay, fine, you're there, you're going to make the decision.
So I think probably being on the consultant side and being on the developer side, maybe there's a difference in looking at the woman architect. But I think this is something which I've seen that's changed in the last 30 years. And I think it's kind of hopeful. Of course, we are in a very good situation. We are in a city where equality is spoken about. Equality is something which everybody feels for. But there are people out there are women out there in other cities who kind of need to kind of be there and say, I need to be treated as an equal. I don't care. I have the same kind of professional experience, have the same exposure. Therefore, you have to treat me like that. Kind of comes through for me.
Thank you. Then, from employers and workers to advocates and inventors, women have made the workplace more vibrant, innovative, and just. Can you better this?
We definitely can. Anything that we do, I'm sure we can do better. Taking from the stereotypes question, I do agree that we are in an industry where, the stereotypes exist. I myself had a couple of instances where, we were told that in the next meeting, they didn't want women to come for the meeting. I've had a similar instance like Hina mentioned in the previous one, where I had a junior male colleague of mine for a meeting and the client refused to look at me and he kept looking at, my colleague, and he even refused to take my visiting card. So we are still living in that environment. We are just lucky that we are working in organizations which are a little bit more sophisticated and knowledgeable about the benefits of diversity. But I feel that overall the industry can definitely make it better by just appreciating that diversity is not a good word. It's much more than that. There are, it's proven that, diversity brings in profits. So I think if people acknowledge that, and, for me, I've been very lucky because even though I've been in this industry, which is very male dominated, all my bosses, I mean, barring one or two, all my bosses have been fantastic mentors for me. They have actually pulled me up and pushed me when I've needed that push. So I've been fortunate, but in my organizations, but when I step out and I've met clients, I've had both kinds of clients. So I feel definitely as an industry, we can do better. If we just start looking at people just from the lens of their capabilities and what they bring to the table. Like every time as a woman, I need to speak and I need to prove myself for a person to accept me. Whereas for a man, when a man walks into a room, he's just accepted. He's okay, this is a person who's coming, and maybe he's good at his job. But for a woman, I need to speak and I need to express my knowledge and I need to speak articulately, I need to dress well. There are a lot of aspects that go into proving yourself, that you can do it too. So I think, yeah, there are a lot of things that can be better. It starts from eliminating bias, which exists. And while I'm very happy that, companies, even developers, we had representatives from developers in the previous panel. And I can see that change because a lot of developers are getting institutional, they want to get professional, they want to get more women. And we need more women, not just in female-led jobs, but in even male-led jobs like, actual construction or engineering. I think that's where the bias has to change. And not just imagining women to be in a female job and saying that, okay, fine, HR, yeah, it's fine, a woman is fine. But a woman in a construction site is also fine, or a woman as a project manager is also fine. So I think that bias needs to change, and that's where I think we can be better.
I would like to answer this question. Whether, can we make a workplace more vibrant or more innovative and more just?
We can definitely make our environment better. Like, we should give more opportunity to women to grow. It's usually a bias that women itna hi kar sakti hai. This is where her limit is. But where given an opportunity, women have proven themselves. Like, oh, we can do everything. I mean, you don't need to stop us. If we want, we can do anything. Yes, but if we don't want, it's a different thing. But we can keep on growing, keep on extending support to each other and be empathetic where required. So like women usually they need some understanding when they are going through certain phases. So that's where you give them that space that is needed and then they come back with a bang. I think that's how we all work.
Just as a new age woman, in pursuing your dreams, we find excitement. In striking a balance, we find satisfaction. And in relishing the simplest things, we find joy. How about you?
Well, I think as an architect, it really pretty much takes over your life but in hindsight, eventually I realized that it was not as holistic a profession as I would have liked it to be. And so what I wanted to do was try and change the narrative of what my work or what an architectural design is perceived as within the context of Mumbai. So I've recently gotten into trying to bridge the gap between art and architecture, which traditionally didn't exist. I mean, if you go back in history, art and architecture were much the same thing. Most artists were almost architects. Most architects were almost artists, and that's very close to my heart, and that's what I'm sort of heading towards now. Launching an art gallery, trying to get developers to connect to art, recognize that architectural design is not only about numbers and maximizing profits, but you're really changing how people live their lives and the experiences they have in these built environments, and that's what I'm focusing on at the moment.
Well, there is a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions in society that gives rise to misogyny. What is your take in today's time?
So first of all, there's a data out there that says that, our on neuroscience that says that 5% of the decisions that we make are conscious. 95% are unconscious that are based on the biases that we have. So a lot of that stems from the way and the environment in which you grew up. So therefore we have to, make sure that we go on that self-realization path. What is it that we want? What are our goals? Write them down. A lot of times women, we focus on our blind spots. We focus on our negatives. We don't focus on our positives. I think we need to leave those misconceptions. We need to start looking at what are our strengths. So women typically have a very high EQ. We are also very risk averse. I mean, if you all know about the New Zealand Prime Minister, she was actually really appreciated for her stance during COVID, when she was the first one to actually block the borders of her country. She also showed a lot of empathy during the terrorist attack that happened. So, we need to look at those examples, get inspired, and really chart our own path.
Seema, you're working with a company that executes complex projects. Having come from a diverse background, how did you quickly learn on the job?
The first thing that I see, women have an innate hunger for knowledge. So they always want to experiment, they always want to learn new. If you think of something as simple as while you're working in a kitchen, you always want to do कि आज ये recipe थोड़ा twist करके देखते हैं. How does it work? So we have that hunger for knowledge most of the times. So when I started, luckily I had a very good boss who taught me well. He gave me time to learn. He let me make my mistakes and he let me grow out of that.
What did Dr. recipes?
No. So, and then I had a very good team support, like the engineers who were with us, and they taught me small things, which, like I'm a commerce graduate and going on site was like very new to me. So they taught small things, how the logic works. Like I wouldn't understand the theory of it. So they used to teach me everything logically. कि ये ऐसे होता है, so that's how things happen. So I think I had good mentors, good teammates who taught me well. That's how I learned.
How about you, Pallavi? I mean, you also execute complex projects. How is it, being on construction? Only not as an architect, but also being, in construction execution part.
So I think basically in terms of the I mean, on the developer side, I've largely worked on the developer side, though I've worked with an architect, been with an NGO, etc., etc. But my larger role has been on the developer side. I think in terms of execution of projects, it's all about seeing it in your mind, and I think being an architect kind of helps me to do that better. So in a way, when you go to a site and you're kind of executing things, I think if there is clarity of thought, it's irrespective of gender. If the clarity of thought exists, I think it is good to kind of go there and put it down. The good part that happens of being a woman is when you are kind of explaining something, people actually listen to you. So especially if you go to a site and there are a lot of these laborers, okay, the fact that you're a woman, they pay more attention, and that's what I've seen, and I'm sure you ladies must have seen that too. Somehow it's basically देखिए ये गलती करती है क्या, and that's why probably they're giving that attention. But I think it's also the whole mansplaining thing kind of also happens. And when you kind of prove your point and you kind of do it consistently and you kind of keep giving solutions time and again and see things differently, because I think we have an innate ability to see things a little differently than others can. Rather than saying अभी ये गलती हो गया छोड़ो इसको जुगाड़ करते हैं, you say okay fine गलती हो गया ठीक है सुधार के इसको ठीक कैसे कर सकते हैं. So I think that's something which kind of comes in when you kind of go to a construction site, kind of interacting with people.
Yeah, very interesting.
And might I add, I think that's where Lodha's Immunity Initiative really sort of is pretty much the exact thing the industry needs, because you not only have architects, women architects, but they now have the attitude at the construction site and the construction site will change when you have, say, the construction manager, say the site supervisor, for example, a woman interact with the laborers, some of them women, but some of them men too. Some of the material being delivered, delivery guys, and they see women at all levels, not only at a certain tier of working, but at all tiers. And where organizations like Unnati can help is that now that kind of the roots kind of spread, this empowerment kind of spreads at all levels and doesn't remain at a place. Yeah.
Actually, I just want to add a little bit. So when I took this new role, Sandeep Rawalo is kind enough to give me this role of a business head position, which is a P&L kind of position. So when I took that on, I think what happened also is everybody started kind of taking me seriously in terms of, okay, fine, I need to be a little cautious with this woman, okay, because she can fire me if required, okay, if there is something. While she will have empathy, she'll also be very rational. I think that is something as women we can kind of bring to the table. We can be extremely rational and extremely, empathetic at the same time. And I think that is something which kind of comes to the construction industry by getting more women in.
Deeds, not words, is our permanent motto. Tell us about the difference you have made at your workplace through your deeds, of course.
Sure, but before, I just want to add to what you said. I think I completely resonate because it was the same thing for me. I took on a P&L role, people started looking at me differently. And one thing I want to add is we women, as both of you said,
we have these thoughts, oh, we could have done it, we can do it this way, or like, how you were saying, but we never speak. Either we are scared that, oh, this is not my position to speak, or, I feel you should not say, you should not think like that. I think every idea is a great idea. I give a very crude example to my team. When a boy proposes to a girl, what is the worst that can happen, right? She'll just say no, right? So unless you do it, how will you know? So I feel, so I did the same thing to my, I would tell my boss, why don't we do it this way? Why don't we, we could double our money, we could double our profits. And some of the things would stick with him. So I think we do need to speak up. That's on that point. Would you like to add?
I'll just add something. In fact, what also happens in such cases is, and this is very funny, the guy at the topmost level is the guy who can see the, the things that are coming through in the idea. I think he or she is more receptive at that point. It's the in-betweens where the problem lies, and I'm sure, Pooja, you've seen this too.
Yes, yes. And back to your question, Jayashree, I think, so I do feel very passionate about making sure that how I've been given opportunities by my male colleagues, by my women colleagues, I would like to give that back. So I'm a co-chair of APAC Women's Network in my company. I have written a few papers on diversity. I also sit on the POSH committee. How many of you know what POSH is? Yeah, so it's really good to see that, that. So yeah, so I sit on that committee. And I do try to get the engagement going with my teams by trying to do the tie up with non-profits, maybe tree planting, maybe assist with other non-profit voluntary organizations, just to inculcate that culture in my team as well. And I think all that goes a long way, because then you are walking the talk, and and then people emulate and they try to, and I've done that looking at my superiors. So I would like to, hope that others.
Interesting you should say that, because this afternoon, my office, my colleagues comes to me and says that Jason, you have become editor for Construction Week, and he says you have a new designation. And I said, what is that? He said, President Office Posh. I said, and the second line I read was the monetary compensation. I said, oh, I'm getting money for this. He said, no, that's a victim. Okay, anyway, thank you so much. I would like to wind up this because I think we're running late. Thank you so much once again. These are some very interesting talks. I mean, we learned a lot today in terms of women standing up for themselves, women, women basically having a spine, basically it's this, you stand up for yourself, you stand up for your beliefs, you stand up for what is right, and that's more important. Thank you so much. I would like to invite here. Saldana and Mangesh Vajji, Chairman and CEO of Haiba, for to felicitate the panel.
Okay.
The floor is open for networking and cocktails.
Construction industry. CO2. And the biggest generation is the smallest. So we need to minimize the carbon footprint of our lives. Holistic approach. Construction phases. And then project specific. Together. Climate neutral future of construction. CO2 footprint. Control. Carbon control.
You're losing network.
Bienvenue. Bienvenido. Welcome. Welcome to the first moment you enter. The first steps. Taking you into a new experience. A journey which begins with us. With us, you're in safe hands, inside and out. And inside, your day starts. Your work, a protected space, or just a moment with your friends. Come in, because doors and avenues will open for you. Ours, and our security solutions. And our security solutions ensure that what lies on the other side is safe. We may be just a small part of a large building, but we create a grand first impression. Together, we welcome you into the world's most inspirational buildings, from the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam to the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. And for the design, we craft a contemporary masterpiece, expertly produced to all that a building deserves, holding service in our hearts and dedication to our people. We go beyond what is expected. That is our passion. For more than 140 years, we've ensured people feel welcome and secure. We are Boon Edam, your entry experts.
बंद हो गया करने का जिधर घूमने का उधर